Hello ladies and gentlemen, Sigvalgrim here and welcome to yet another video where we take a look at fan-made cards. Because you guys really enjoyed the last video of fan-made cards and we together really enjoyed the prospect of new characters being introduced. Even though the characters that I presented were a little bit crazy, maybe in the future we might even get a class that's above legendary like it happened in MK Mobile with diamonds and stuff like that. But for now it's very interesting to look at characters that NetherRealms have failed so far to introduce in the game, or characters that are already in the game but in other forms and would definitely deserve some more justice to them. So with all that being said, like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, dislike it if you dislike it. I'll put a link to the guy who makes those things in the description because those are from a Facebook page. I have asked him if I am able to use them for a video and he said yes, and who am I not to promote him? So yeah, links in the description, links in the pinned comment, go check him out. And without further ado, let's get into it. The first card that we're going to take a look at is going to be Zoom, and I'm not the best guy when it comes to DC lore, but I guess this is a dark version of Flash or something like that. But regardless of that, I'm not here for the lore, I'm here for the passives of the card and the usability of the card. So, let's go over each one of them, and by the way, by the looks of the artwork, it would look really cool to have like some ghostly Flash, that would be amazing. But getting into the passive, first, negative speed force. Zoom uses the power of negative speed force, which makes the opponent unable to move for 4 seconds each time they tag in. So unable to move in just to mobile means no swipe right, no swipe left attack. That's going to also be done by a couple of other characters, and this is a balanced passive. Like, it's nothing to brag about. They can still use abilities that don't require them to move, but it's going to be a decent effect, pretty balanced. Next up, when Zoom is KO'd, he distributes 50% of all his stats among his teammates. If both are alive, 25% each. If only one is alive, they get 50%. This is an interesting one for a couple of reasons. First of all, it synergizes very well with Last Love the Joker. Like, imagine building this guy, and first, it does not really say, it says they get 50% of all stats, but usually the way this is calculated into the game is out of the base stats, because that's how they do it usually. If it would be out of all of the stats and they were to put it like that in the game, then you would build this guy as glass cannon as possible with as much attack as possible, and then let him die and get another character out of attack. And the character that would definitely benefit from this one would be Last of the Joker, because he also benefits from a teammate dying. So that would be insane. And at the same time, this would be if this was to be introduced in the game, yet again you'd build him full glass cannon, full attack, and then you'd put him in most likely every Scarecrow team. Just to be there, just to die, just to tremendously boost your other characters. Because yes, I'm thinking about only damage, but there are a lot of stats if it says all stats, especially survivability stats. So yeah, overall this is a very interesting one, a little bit overpowered one, not gonna lie, but a very interesting one nevertheless. Next up we have Super Strength. Every time Zoom is hit by a special ability, he gains a 20% damage boost up to 200%. First of all, it's not attack boost, it's damage boost. It does not scale with base attack, does not scale with total attack, it scales with damage. And that's the best way for things to scale. For example, if we were to have this passive at maximum level of Silver Banshee, actually this is not a good example because she always hits the cap of the bosses. Like, for example, if you were to have this passive on Black Manta and he would normally deal 30 million damage in normal rates, then with this passive active at maximum stacks, let's say from the beginning of the fight, he would deal double the damage he has already dealt. So yeah, this is a very interesting thing. Like, at this point, he does not have anything else that would boost his damage other than this, so it really depends on what he has on his other abilities. But imagine combining this, though he has to be hit by a special ability to be fair, so it will take a lot of time to build up. But yeah, overall, an interesting character. Like, it would be nice to see characters that buff the other characters once they die, like we have in MK Mobile, the Shaolin Warrior or something like that, that when he dies he gives bars of power to his team. So yeah, with all that being said, this was Zoom, and let's move on to the next one. Next up, we have a card that finally tries to do some justice to Red Hood, because Red Hood in the game, yeah, he has a decently useful passive in raids with certain teams, but overall he's not the characters the fans want to have, because Red Hood in the lore is such a badass character. So we have this character over here, the Injustice 2 Red Hood, and let's take a look at his passive. Dual Bactra. On using Special 2 and Special 3, Red Hood and Injustice 2 teammates cause a bleeding effect for 5 seconds. That bleed 10% of health every time the opponent moves. Effect stacks up to 40%, max 3 times per battle. So this is interesting because it says Injustice 2 teammates, so this might be some way to say for each character in the game, and that's a little bit interesting. Or some specific characters are not going to be included, like Shazam. Shazam is not an Injustice 2 mobile character, Injustice 2 character, because he's not in Injustice 2. Or Injustice 2 mobile, other Injustice 2 mobile exclusive characters that they have added that are not in Injustice 2, the PC version. So it's either this or that. The passive of bleeding is something similar to the passive of Black Manta, but it's a more creative way to implement this. Like, in order to make this work, you'll have to manipulate the AI of the opponent into moving, and that's an interesting thing to do that adds a whole new layer to the gameplay, and I really like that. Next up, Battle Royale. Each teammate or opponent gives a whole team a buff of 20% damage boost and 30% health, and 10% the defense for each. So yeah, he gets buffed by tech teammates and opponents. Because of the fact that he works well with tech, he might be very interesting to play with Arkham Knight Batman, because Arkham Knight Batman also buffs him back. And the damages are okay, I guess, for each tech opponent. Well, you can get pretty damn crazy with the damage boosts if you think about that, and it gives only to the tech teammates. That's okay. And the next one will be Justice for Injustice. Red Hood boosts 50% damage and 40% damage and 50% health, and all resistance by 30% for each Injustice 2 teammate or opponent. Well, with those boosts that we have in Battle Royale and those boosts that we have in Justice for Injustice, if you pair him up with the right tech opponents, then his stats might get a little bit crazy. But nevertheless, it's an interesting thing to see. Some characters getting buffed by more general things of characters, like Injustice 2 characters. Like thinking about, there are characters that get buffed by multiverse characters, and multiverse characters are a lot of them. Like, it's 6 or something. Yeah, it would be interesting to have more large areas of buffing. But overall, a very interesting character. I would really like to see this character's model in the game and really see him go. Like, honestly, I don't have a problem with the Red Hood in the game in terms of the model and the attack animations, but he does not simply do much. Oh, and with all that being said, let's get into the next card. Did you guys think that Kim Flint's Aquaman was powerful enough? Well, you are wrong, because he's not powerful enough. He needs Water Queen Mera. Let's take a look at her, because she's made to be specifically a support character for Kim Flint's Aquaman. First of all, Protector of Atlantis. Against Black Manta, Mera disables a passive and a special skill at random, and if Kim Flint's Aquaman is in a friendly team, he gets to use both of the disabled. Well, first of all, this is very specific, only against Black Manta in Arena Champions Arena and against the boss. But it would be extremely interesting to see Kim Flint's Aquaman, like, screw the passive, you can get passive buffs otherwise, that's implemented, but we have never seen someone to have 4 special attacks at once. And that would be a very interesting concept to see, and at the same time would be interesting to see how he transitions into those specific animations. I'm not even sure those dudes at NetherRealms are going to be able to implement this, even if they wanted to. But yeah, anyway. Water generation. Mera reduces all power cost by -2 for all teammates, and if Black Manta is in the is against the fight, +2 cost for all opponents. So yeah, a horrific Scarecrow passive if Black Manta is in the other team, Dr. Fate passive guaranteed. Oh, that's great. That got Dr. Fate out of that team. Kingflance Aquaman does not need Dr. Fate anymore. He only needs Mera. And Love of Life, having Kingflance Aquaman in any of the team grant Mera and friendly Kingflance Aquamans boost 300% damage boost on special tree. Max 5 times per battle, in which 150% critical and cannot be resisted by any boss effect in raid. I don't really understand the critical boost. Maybe you receive by default plus 150% critical damage, but that's more or less irrelevant because of the fact you are going to have maximum critical attack damage anyway, but they cannot be resisted by any effects in raid. Is going to be a little bit crazy because for those of you who don't know, the third special of Kingflance Aquaman will deal damage equal to a percentage of the enemy's health. But the bosses in tier 7 and tier 8 do have a cap. A cap meaning that you will not be able to deal more than a certain percentage of their health in one basic attack or one skill, and that's at 3 million for most part. And in Soul Raid it's a little bit higher, but still is there. This thing straight out disables it. That takes it right out of the door and disables it. This would be crazy to see, and I honestly do not want to see that in the game because it's too insane. Like, imagine this working at full potential in Soul Raids in the higher tier, and you being able to deal like 200k with one special tree of Kingflance Aquaman. That would be insane. But overall, a very great character. I like the touch of power reduction cost because if it did not reduce power, then we would be like, we take out Shazam or we take out Dr. Fate. And now we're like, we take out Dr. Fate because this girl also gives power reduction and we keep Shazam and Kingflance Aquaman. So yeah, with all that being said, let's move on to the next card. Okay, so I left this as the last one because this is crazy. Beyond Singularity Anti-Monitor. I'm not versed enough in the DC lore to know who this guy is, but he's up to some very interesting things. So yeah, each tagging grants Monitor and the Multiverse team invulnerability for 5 seconds, up to 10 times per battle. Well, for most of the Multiverse team this would be useful, but for Multiverse Armor Supergirl this would be worthless because of the fact that she is anyway going to tag into an unbreakable hit and continue her combo and use a special, and that's more or less 5 seconds that are gone. But it's going to be pretty interesting and useful for the multiverse teammates. Reality alternation. Monitor special tree adds plus 20 of battle timer. Every time it's used can be used 8 times per battle. So that means that you can add up to 160 seconds to the fight. That's like more than the fight was initially. That's more than the initial time of the fight. Per battle, using special one causes -1 power cost up to 0 power cost for every special. All effects stack. Well, I'm not sure if for power cost of all specials for him and for the whole team or for the whole multiverse team because you had the synergy previously. But yeah, it would be interesting to have something that gradually reduces the cost of something. Like you keep it the whole battle, but you have to build that up. Like you build up the attack passive of Kingflance Aquaman. Anti-last passive will be tactical analysis. Each blocked or unblocked hit on opponent causes plus 10% attack boost up to 500% for legendary teammates and 7% up to 400% for multiverse characters. Well, multiverse characters don't really care about that because they don't really use basic attacks that often and in that much of sequence. But on the other hand, there's the legendary characters thing over there. And you know who would really love this? Brainiac would really love this because his passive already works very similar, if not in the exact same way as this. And having this on top it would be amazing for Black Manta because he would be able to get out some disgusting amounts of damage. And on the other hand, the reality alternation extending the duration of the fight, like bro, throw Brainiac to the trash. Black Manta has found a new favorite support character for him. But yeah, anyways, those were all the cards that I had to show you for this one. Make sure you check out Exiodia, the Facebook page that is making those things, and will be linked in the pinned comment, will be linked in the description. And if you have a Facebook, I would really appreciate if you go by, leave a like, because this dude is making some amazing work that we do have the pleasure to fortunately enjoy. So with all that being said, thank you very much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the video, dislike it if you dislike it, and I'll see you